Alright guys, we are back again with Chapter 7 Key Issue 1 videos. So this video is going to talk about a lot about basically ethnicities, race, and what are the major ethnicities and where are they located within the United States. So the first thing that's important to know is that ethnicity and race are not the same thing. Ethnicity is basically the culture that a person has, whereas race is like your skin color. So the group that has the hardest time with this is Hispanics in the United States because they have an ethnicity, right? The ethnicity is Hispanic. But then as far as race goes, they have to basically decide, do they see themselves, their skin color, as being closer to white, closer to black? Do they want to put other, which is something that a lot of people struggle with, right? Because like they don't think that they look white, they don't think that they look black, but they also don't want to say other because that's a situation that like nobody wants to be called the other one, right? So that's what ethnicity is. Race, like I said, is just your skin color, and so a racist is someone who puts a certain race above another race based only on the color of their skin. Okay, so that's like saying that a black person is better than a white person because of the color of their skin or whatever. Okay. So obviously it's completely prejudiced, almost always based on stereotypes, and is therefore going to be a problem. So, but as far as ethnicity goes, it's hard to define sometimes. We already talked about Hispanics, but President Obama had to struggle with this too because he has a dad from Kenya, he's got a mom from England, and he's got a stepdad from Indonesia. So he's got Caucasian ethnicities that he's being around, the Caucasian culture, he's got African American culture, and then he's got Asian American culture. And so when he had to choose which box he wanted to check, he decided that he was going to check African American, but he could have easily gone any of those other two directions as well. So when we talk about the three most important or most populous ethnicities in the United States, we have to talk about three specific ones. The first one is obviously Hispanic. Hispanic is number one. African American is a distant number two, and then Asian American is way further down the list at number three. And so this is the way that they're actually broken down. This is something that's true of all ethnicities. Ethnicities as a whole are going to cluster in cities, okay? Because if you think about it, when we talked about migration, people move for one reason more than any other reason, and that is economic prosperity, right? So they're going to move so that they can get the highest paying job that they can possibly get. And so if they're moving to get a job, and most of the jobs are located in cities, then when they move to the United States, they're going to live in the cities, right? That makes sense. So when we look here, this map is our map of where a majority of our Hispanic population is located. Okay, we see a majority of them are going to be located in the southwestern portion of the United States, right here, okay? Southwestern portion of the United States. And the reason for that is if you look at a big map, right, the southwestern portion of the United States is on the border with Mexico, okay? So if we've got a lot of people that are coming in from right here, and they come into here, that makes sense. This is where they're going to stop. That's why they're right on the borders, okay? But then we also have a large portion here in Florida, and a lot of people immediately jump to Cuba. Cuba's good. Puerto Rico is the bigger reason, okay? Puerto Rico is a part of the United States, and that's where a large portion of our Hispanic population is going to come from. Hispanic does not mean Mexican, so it doesn't have to just be from people from Mexico. Then we look here at our African American population, and we see that they're going to be primarily located in the American South. Okay, that's Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia. Okay, those are a majority of where they're going to be located. And the primary reason for that is forced migration. If you think about it, African Americans came over originally as slaves. Okay, nobody wanted to be a slave, they just came over and that's what they were told that they had to do. And after slavery ended, after the end of the Civil War, it's not like things got significantly better for them. Sharecropping, Jim Crow laws, segregation, all of those things continued to keep them down, okay? And so this wasn't something, they couldn't just get up and leave and go to other places, okay? And so they stayed down here. This is where their families were, this is where their culture was, all that kind of stuff, and so they stayed. The only reason that we see so many in the Northeast now is because the farming that they were doing in the South stopped being something that they needed people to do, and they started being able to do it with machines. And so they had to find work in other places. All right, the last one is right here. This is our Asian Americans, and you're going to see that a majority of them are located in Hawaii, Alaska, and California. And the primary reason for this is because the world is not flat. And so if we look right here where Asia is located, all right, and you go off the edge of the world, you don't actually go off the edge of the world. You actually come up over on the other side where you're going to immediately run into Hawaii, Alaska, and then California. Okay, that's where people are going to be located. So that's the reason for that. That is the entirety of Chapter 7, Key Issue 1. If you guys have any questions, feel free to come ask. But as long as you guys know that the three major ethnicities are Hispanic, African American, and Asian American, and that they're located in the Southwest, the American South, and California, basically, then you guys will do just fine.